Vanished, created and narrated by Ravi. Chapter 8, Wilfred. Some stories are best told in the words of the author, and Wilfred is one such story. The hidden letter from Srikant's diary can best be described as an autobiography and an emotional outpouring, plus an appeal thrown in for good measure. This is what the letter said. Sri, I do not know why I like you or why I am writing this letter to you. You will no doubt wonder how I came about your address in India. Friend, you know my position and status here. It was very easy for me to trace your whereabouts in India through my offices and contacts. No, do not worry, for I have no ill intentions, and neither will I bother to give your address to your company. Sorry, ex employers here. But I do not even need to, for if the brothers are looking for you, they will surely find you. I still very vividly recall our last meeting in 2007. It is now almost 2 years since you have left, or should I say, escaped. I know you must be keeping track of events in South Africa after your surprise departure. Yes, the brothers are in command. I must say, in full command of the country and its affairs now. There are certain things I must now share with you at the risk of burdening your already stressed mind. When you decided to meet me, you must have mulled it in your mind. Finally, you must have thought that I am your best bet. I went through the same process before deciding to write to you. This letter will not reach you by the usual post or courier channels. You will find it at your doorstep one day. Well, where and how shall I begin to tell you what I want to tell? You might not know about this, but I am from a very humble background. My father, Chunu Sr., was a very poor man, a farmer, I can say, but he was also a patriot and had a keen interest in our nation and its history. Even as a child, I remember my father telling me stories about the Zulu people. He told me about the various Zulu tribes and how our king Shaka finally united them. He spoke of the valor of Zulus and how they fought against the Boers and then the British. At some stage in his life, he decided to quit as a farmer and become a guide. Yes, a tourist guide. I don't know why I am telling you all this, but I know I must tell you all this because it is somehow going to lead to actually what I wanted to tell you. My father was truly Zulu in heart, but he was also a true Zulu in character. He married twice and had 4 children from them. He, however, managed to produce 12 more children. Don't ask me about their mothers because I do not know them. As my father would explain, look, son, 4 of you are from my legal wives. But you must understand that we Zulu people cannot be restrained, especially our men. Rest of your brothers and sisters are from here and there. You will understand when you become a man. Well, that was my father. One thing I have inherited from my father was his patriotic genes. Look, I was his son from the pack of 12 that he picked up from here and there. Yet my father loved us all and took as much care as he could possibly afford. I think you understand my love for my country. I do not believe in ranting about our history or sing patriotic songs to prove that I love my country. It is this love that made me study hard in my school and college so that one day I can grow up to serve my country. I did. I did succeed. And as you know, I am now one of the important cogs in this government's wheels. I did my bit during the civil rebellion against the white rule, and I am proud of it. As you know, mere patriotism does not serve the purpose. One has to be practical, realistic, and smart enough to understand politics. I too learnt these lessons in politics during the rebellion and later when I joined the government. I am still learning. I admired Mandela when he selflessly led the freedom movement and later got bitterly disappointed when he took over as president. He was not infallible as I thought. His patriotism, which I never questioned, changed character when he became a politician. He had enough reasons to justify what he did and why. I was watching everything from my ringside seat, close, yet not part of it. Well, my disappointment and frustration with South African politics only grew as presidents changed, and yet I remained mute. I had no power to speak the truth or question those who abused power. That is what I thought. Then your brothers entered the scene and played their own games to win over even the most die-hard patriots. Now it is only greed that rules the country, not the government, and I am really and truly sick of it. Yes, I have sullied my patriotism, indulging in service to the corrupt, and therefore I consider myself as part of the wreckers. Yet my conscience kept pricking me. My heart said that I must quit, and my mind said stay. I listened to my mind. My heart then consoled me and said, okay, stay if you want, but for God's sake, do something for your country. Don't just abandon it to the greedy wolves. I knew my heart was right. So was my mind. I had to be practical, yet do something to save my country. I hate the brothers and people like the brothers who have no stake in our country except poison it and corrupt it. I have met the brothers and others such many times over and have done things for them, not because I wanted to, but because I just had to do. You will surely understand me when I say this, for you too have been forced to do such things for similar reasons. My heart kept telling me that no country and no people can be chained for long, whether the oppressors are foreign or natives. They will have to someday face the people and be exposed. I still believe this to be true. Anyway, I began my own investigations discreetly, collecting anything that could one day help me in exposing the corrupt. I do not know whether you still have with you the flash drive that I had sent to you through Mr. Smith. I will not blame you if you have thrown it away. It was indeed revolting, and you must have noticed the shaking during one of the killings. It was my hand that was shaking with disgust and terror. You might have wondered who sent you the drive and why. We too had some interactions and exchanged some views, though not expressly. I could judge a man, well, so I believe, and I had you sized up. I knew your background and your professional graph. I had that personally researched exhaustively. I knew your heart and I sensed your fears. That is why I sent you the video, to put some sense in you of the dangers around your presence in the group. When you asked to meet me, I was surprised. How did Shrikant manage to trace the video to me? What resources could he have? Had he shown it to the brothers? Was my reading of Shrikant horribly wrong? Yes, I was afraid, Sri. I was afraid that I had made the worst mistake of my life. But when you told me about your troubles and there was no mention about the videos, I actually wanted to hug you in relief. A momentary thought flashed through my mind. Should I ask Srikant about the flash drive? It was momentary and passed as soon as it appeared in my mind. I knew you had fully understood the treachery of the brothers, one of whom, I gather, is your childhood friend. Well, that is how you got the flash drive, and that is why I helped you escape. Now for the bitter bit. I do not know how long I shall manage to survive. I now have too many secrets with me, secrets that I can use to expose the president and his henchmen. But I cannot use it here in South Africa. It's too dangerous. I don't care if I die. All of us have to. But I shall be dismayed that with me will die my secrets and the chances for my nation to know the truth and expose the traitors. So, why is it that I turn to you now? You are not a South African and you have successfully escaped from this hellhole. Why would you have anything to do with the cold blooded brothers and a rotting nation? Why should you help me? I saved your life, and I believe that you owe me a favor. I am calling it now and will not blame if you say no. But I will appreciate your help if indeed you will help me. I have ample resources everywhere, but this is not the time or occasion to use them. I have simply lost trust in everyone, and I can now only ask you. I am proud that I am a Zulu and a patriot. Now it is time for me to prove it. I need to escape from South Africa and go into hiding. I have planned out what I shall do then. You, my friend, have to hide me in India. I have also planned for this. You just have to say yes, and I shall guide you forward. One more thing I must tell you now before you read my letter and get too emotional. My request to you comes with a big price tag. A huge sacrifice is to be made by you. You must not and cannot share this letter or anything we do here on with anybody, not even with your family. The Srikant that your near and dear people know has to die. Not literally die, but you have to vanish, just as I will from my country. Maybe forever, maybe for a short while. I cannot guarantee. But whatever happens, I assure you that no harm shall touch you. You shall come out of all this alive and happy. That I promise. I await your response. Please say yes. End of chapter 8. Keep listening.